Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's session. Tonight, we are going to be talking about test plan, which will include test scenarios and test cases. So that's what we plan to achieve tonight. Yeah, so let's get started. I'll start with a simple question. Just in your own understanding or language, can anybody tell us what test plan is? Test plan. Anyone? Can anyone try? Okay.
Let me try, sir.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so testing is a way to certify whether a software is working as designed. So it's a process to check whether a software project is free from bug or defect.
Yeah, you are right. That is testing. But what is the plan? You need a plan before you start the testing. So you got the answer for testing. That is the correct answer for testing. Or what is the test plan? Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank
Nkechi
you, sir.
Rabweze.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Okay. From my own understanding, I think test plan is a document, since we have been dealing with a lot of documentation, maybe a document that will outline how a system or a software that is being designed will be tested.
Good. That's good. That's good from you, Nkechi. I think this time you have been taking a lot of coffee, so you've been firing. Yeah? Okay, let's hear from Remy Maria.
Okay, good evening, sir. Okay, to my own understanding, test plan is a document that shows the objectives, the goals, the scope, the activities required to test a particular software or product or system.
That's
So it's
good.
like it guides the testing process to ensure that software meets the required quality standard.
Yes, all of you are right, absolutely right. Just that you guys use different languages, but all of you are absolutely right. So test plan is a strategic document outlining the plan, resources, schedule for the testing. So all of you are absolutely right. Before you start contacting your developers to start implementation, you need to create how this system, because all this while from product backlog, we've been designing, call it solution design, we've been designing the solution that need to be implemented. But the last document is that after all the user stories, acceptance criteria, you need a test plan to make sure that during the testing, there is a procedure. You follow the procedure. You know what you are doing is management. In project management, you must have a plan. It's part of the planning. So this is the duty of what we call a tester. A tester should handle this responsibility. We call a tester or QR, quality assurance. The purpose of testing is for quality assurance. So this is the duty of a quality assurance officer as well. If you remember when we were starting, we talk about various roles. We talk about tester, we talk about QR. We say that if we don't have such people like QR or tester, a business analyst should be able to do this as well. As you know, business analysis is versatile. Your role as a business analyst, you are just like a midfielder, you are everywhere. And it's the duty of the project manager to make sure that this document is created. So that's a part of the planning, tracking for the project, but it's the responsibility of a business analyst when there is no QR to create this document. So we should know how to create at least simple test plan. We have two types of test plan. We have manual testing and we'll have automated testing. That is Selenium, can use Selenium. But in this, automated is out of our scope because this is when a situation where we are using automated, which is Selenium, then we need a QR, a certified tester to do that. But a business analyst should be able to create or carry out a manual testing. So, and that's what we're going to try to achieve, to understand how to carry out this manual testing. So let's proceed to our note and see, understand more about testing, test plan, test scenario, test cases, and how to create them step by steps. So let's start from test plan. A test plan, just like all of us have just said and agreed, is a formal document outlining the strategy, resources, and schedule for testing activities. It acts as a blueprint to guide the testing team and ensure all aspects of the system are thoroughly tested and validated. That's why we need to have a plan. If we don't have a plan, we might miss so many activities during the testing. But when we have a test plan, it's going to be a guiding document to help us. You know, whichever one we've done, we tick the box, and that will help us to, if we don't have a document like this thorough validation might not really happen because yes, we might have a kind of oversight and miss some valuable activities. Test scenario is a high level description of what needs to be tested. It represents a particular functionality or features from end user perspective. That is a scenario. Then test case is a specific set of inputs, execution step, and expected outcome designed to verify a particular functionality of the system. So it's important we understand all of them one after the other. So let's look at key components. We look at key components starting from test plan to test scenario and then to test cases. What should a test plan contain if you are planning to create a test plan? What should your test plan contain? Number one, you must have the objective, the goal of this testing effort. That is the objective. 2, scope, features and functionalities to be tested. That's why we're creating this plan, so that we don't miss anything and we don't go start testing what is not supposed to be testing. So have a guided approach or a guided effort. Environment, we must understand the environment. Where is this testing going to carry out? The hardware, the software, and tools required for this testing. It must be outlined so that we are not going to be scratching our head, say, do you think? No, we don't. We are professionals. We don't need that kind of what. So, no. Test strategies, approach for testing. Before the testing, we must have agreed on the approach we are going to use. On the day of testing, we can say, okay, I think it's going to be better for us to use a manual. Or I think, okay, let's try automation. If automation don't work, maybe we go to no. From the beginning, we must have approach adopted. This is what we're going to use. Testing types. We have different types of testing. We must understand different types of testing. Functional testing. We have functional and we have non-functional. We have regression and we have performance. Functional is when we are testing functionalities like this. These are functionalities. We can see it. If you are looking at this system I'm using, which Google Doc, you can see that file is functional. If you click on it, you can perform activity, functionality, you can see it, all of them. But there are some activities that are not functional, like security and some other things. We are not going to see some of those things, but they do exist. We equally have what we call regression testing. Regression testing means after carrying out a test, there are two things there must be a two outcome. It's either the test fail or the test case pass. It's either fail or pass. So whichever one. In a situation where there is a failed test, the activity or the software we tested fail, then we need to log what happened, why it didn't pass. That is going to be because that would mean that we registered a bug. That bug needs to be fixed. So we need to take it for fixing. When we are coming back after fixing the bug, it's not going to be a fresh test because we've tested this before. This will help us to know the amount of effort or amount of time we have tested this particular feature. We call it regression testing. We probably have performance testing, how the system performs, general performance. These are various testing that can be carried out in a system. So, but in our own cases, we're going to just carry out testing functionalities. Most of it, the functionalities of what we develop or what we configured. Another activity is, or another component is the timeline for the testing. we must have a duration for the testing. It can never be open-ended. It's not forever. It's either we'll have a date, time. So all the people coming or want to be part of the testing, whether you are going to be actively doing the testing or whether you are going to be an observer, whichever, everybody need to know the date and time. Resources, testing resources, testing team members and tools. That's the resources. How many people are going to involve in this testing? Like we are conducting a test, it's okay. The business analyst, you are going to be the person overseeing the testing activity. That is you. Then the developers, you should be there because you configure this to see what is going on. Stakeholders, like the user, end user, like in a case of CRM system, is not you that build or configured or customized that is going to test. After creating, you need to seal back for another person to come and test. And it's not you that planned. So what I'm trying to say is that the testing efforts, whoever is going to carry out the testing must not be from the development team. It's going to be an outsider, an outside stakeholder like a sales rep. After configuring everything, like in our own case, we're talking about lead management. We need to invite a sales rep and ask the sales rep with a test plan, test, and let's see. So he will use it the way he should be able to use it to do his normal work. And we'll see if it's working. So that's, or we need to decide all the resources and the tools involved in the testing as resources, and then risk and mitigation, challenges and strategies to address the challenges. So we need to look at all the challenges. Some of the challenges can be the not having enough resources, the stakeholders who are supposed to be part of the testing. Some of them might, what if they go on annual leave? We must find out to address whatever challenge might affect us from the testing. You might just put a testing and find out that the stakeholder, I suppose, has gone on annual leave. Or maybe he didn't turn up. His child all of a sudden developed a fever. He took all excuse, he's not coming to work that day. So if you are having like team member or somebody, you must have like a reserve. These are mitigating circumstances. If you really plan it's going to happen that day and the person did, then you invite the second person to come forward and carry out the testing. So with this, you find out that you are going to have a very successful and smooth testing activity. But if you don't have this kind of plan, you might just say, okay, after all, we know we have a sales rep anytime because it's always coming to work, so you don't even need to bother. You can find out that that particular fateful day, you turn out that he's not coming to work that day, you start scratching your head. So we don't need that. We are professionals. Then we have test scenarios. A test scenario must have a scenario ID, a unique identifier for the scenario, description, a high-level overview of the functionality to be tested, dependencies, requirements for the scenario, such as user, role, or data, so, and priority, importance of the scenario. Is it high, is it medium, or is it low? We equally have test cases. A test case must have a unique identifier for each test cases, test description, a summary of what the test case verify. We have precondition requirement or setup needed before executing the testing. Then third step-by-step action to execute the test. You plan this, but you are not going to execute this. So there is need for clear step-by-step activity. You want a sales rep to test the CRM system. What if the sales rep have not used that kind of CRM system before? You don't need to come and start struggling to test. You must provide step-by-step on what whoever is going to test need to follow. Expected results, the outcome if the system works as intended. That is expected result. We must have what we are looking at. Testing, when you want to test something, you are testing it because you want something to happen. If you are not seeing that you want to see, then it means it's a failure. And then we have actual results. The observed outcome during the testing. If the actual result matches the expected, that is pass. If the actual result differs from the expected result, that's fail. So that is the status here. Is either it passes or it fails, or we didn't test at all, which we're blocking. So it can come by a situation that we even, after applying everything, we even didn't carry out the test, but that is not what should be planned for. But these are possible situations. Okay, let's look at example. If you have not seen a test plan before, maybe this will help you to see it for the first time, how it looks like. You can use this template if you like. So if you can use it to do your work as a team, whichever way you want. Okay, test plan for D365 ERP. Here we have the objective here. The objective is to validate the functionality of D365 ERP Business Central for Finance module. And then we have the scope. The scope will focus on accounts payable, account receivable, and general ledger. This is the scope of this testing. Test environment, Windows Server, D365, ERP Business Central with SQL database. Then test strategy is going to be manual and automated. So depending on you, people need to decide if it's going to be manual, then choose manual. I just captured the two because it can go the other way depending on what. In our own case, what we are going to be using is manual, but it's going to be automated. Then we can use Selenium or Jira. Then testing types. Functional, regression, and integration testing. Integration is, these are different activities, different features we are bringing together to form one system, and you can equally carry out integrated, like for instance, if integration is part of the effort, it may be integrating, this is ERP, if we are integrating ERP with CRM, or if we are integrating this ERP with Power BI, we are integrating. So if integration is part of it, then we only carry out integration testing to see that the two systems are working very well. We then have schedule. We need to decide 3 weeks, 1 week per model, and equally need to capture dates. Resources here, you see 2 testers, 1 test manager, and 1 business analyst. So you need to specify the amount of people that are going to carry out this testing and mention them, so that, and they need to be aware they are going to be part of this testing activity. Risk and mitigation. Data inconsistency, use sample data for testing. So these are all the things you need to make out that you address. With a good test plan in place, you are not going to struggle with your testing activity. And let's look at test scenarios. In a test scenario, we said it's going to have ID, unique identifier, description, dependency, and priority. Let's say test login functionality for all user roles. This is the scenario, and the dependency is user account setup and is very high. Scenario 2, validate invoice creation in accounts payable. This is still a high level. Sample, this dependency here is sample vendor data uploaded. So dependency means that this activity is depending on this in order to happen, and is a high priority. Then scenario 3, ensure payment posting to the correct ledger. Before we can do that, there must be integration with bank account. These are dependencies. So these are some of the things we need to make sure that they are in place before this can take place. And this is medium priority. Then finally, you come to this detailed testing activity, which is step-by-step activity needed to carry out this testing. And if you come here, you see we have test ID, that you will call it test cases. That's simple. You can have a lot of all these test scenarios need to be broken down into test cases. This is still high level. Test scenario is high level, but test cases is low level, detailed. Well, I've spoken about high level and low level situations or requirements. So when you see when you hear for high level, we've talked about high level and low level in product backlog. If you remember that, we say that Epic, each of these are still high level. The user stories, these are low level. You see the same scenario here. So this is the low level activities, detailed activities. We have TC1, this is test case 1. You verify login with credentials. Precondition means what needs to be in place before this can happen. User account setup. You must create an account for the user who is going to carry out this testing. You can't just come and start testing. Whoever is going to must have an account details that are going to be used. And most of these systems, you can't just come and register. You don't sign up. Somebody must onboard you. Somebody must register you. Whoever is the system administrator, that is the person's duty to add you in this kind of system. In so many cases, you must have a license. You must get a license for whoever is going to use the system. Like in this case, the ERP system for Microsoft, they need to buy you a license. So the amount of people that are going to need the amount of licenses they need to buy. So then test steps. You see step by step. That's why I say you need to create step-by-step activity of whoever is going to carry out the test. Even if the person have not used the system, you need to make it kind of very user-friendly so that anyone, because whoever is coming to test, we assume the person is not a techie person, you know. Navigate to login page, enter valid user and username and password and click login. Whether you use any system, you can do this. Even my mom in the village can do this. Then expected results, user is redirected to a dashboard. So that's what is expected. Whenever you log into a system, you must be redirected to a dashboard. So this actual result as expected. If it is as expected, you pass. If it's not as expected, you fail. Then we'll have TC2, validate invoice creation in account payable, and precondition is there must be a vendor data for this to be happen. And the test step is navigate to account payable, select create invoice, enter vendor details and submit the invoice. Invoice is created successfully as expected, you pass. If it's not as expected, you fail. Then TC3, description, ensure payment posting to correct ledger. Precondition, the system must be integrated. Yeah, it must have bank integration before this can happen. And this is the step-by-step activity. And first, navigate to payments, select transaction, confirm payment, check general ledger for posting. That is the step-by-steps. And the expected result here is that the payment is posted under the correct ledger. But in this case, issue were found. You couldn't carry out this testing. This payment couldn't post payment under the correct ledger, and you fail. So meaning that there is a bug that needs to be fixed. And that's it. That is the test. So this is just 3 activities here. You can have so many of them during your listening. So, and once you understand this, that's very good. So the best practice is to involve stakeholders, collaborate with stakeholders to identify critical test areas, be specific, use clear and concise language in the testing scenarios and cases. Why? Because this activity is going to involve stakeholders, users who are not part of the development team. If you start using technical jargons like user story, some of the normal language you use in during the like user stories, acceptance criteria, they might not understand all these technical. So you try to use simple language because you are bringing in non-techy people to come and test the system. And prioritize, focus on high priority features first, and reuse tests. Create reusable test cases for recurring activities. You see, this is recurring. You can create kind of test cases that you can tweak and keep on reusing it. And this will help us This is going to take us to the live test cases, which we are going to be using. So once you create this document, then you need to create a test case like this as well, that are going to be the main document for the testing, which is test cases. We talked about it last time we visited this product backlog. I told you that I merged two documents here together, product backlog and test cases. And that is the test cases here. Manual test cases, this is how it's going to look like. And you see here, you see TC001, but this is for CRM system. The one on our note is for ERP system, and this one is CRM system. So you have two documents now on testing, so which is a plus, a bonus for you. So have TC1, TC2, TC3, TC4, TC5, and TC6. You can have as so many TCs, test cases, as possible with their title, description, environment, precondition, expected results, pass or fail, and the remark. Like all these field activities, the field tests here should have remarks or notes by the side, so that if the developers are going to use these test cases, these test case documents as a reference point, they should be able to see what happened and be able to understand what to do. So that's it. So I'm not going to come and start reading up all these test cases. So it's a document, a template for you. If you are interested, you go study it. So I've done my bit. I really took time to create all these documents. Right. That's it for you for tonight. So if you have question, can handle your question. All right. We're tidying up. We're trying to tidy up our activities in business analysis, and I think with this we have come to the end of planning stage, and the next thing is to move into execution stage, where we need to carry out the implementation properly. The Dynamics 365 CRM, that is what we need to do next time. We have to move to Jira to start planning for this. So we've covered a lot. So by next week, we are going to have our status update, so that I see how ready you guys are for the execution stage. So you are not going to say you don't have enough information or knowledge to handle the planning stage. So there are some areas I didn't touch, like if you are looking at this document, if you are following this, there's areas I did not touch here, because what we are doing is business analysis. I didn't want to, we'll still have pockets of activities in project management, which is like soft skills in project management. So here, if you are following this document here, there's things I didn't want to touch because we've done that. Like if you come here, we have test plan. We've done test planning, project planning in project planning in during the project. Yeah, we've done this particular. So all of us should know how to create a project plan. And this is use wireframe, where we don't need wireframe in here, or the what do they call it, mock-up. So this is actually the work of a UX designer. So wireframing and the mock-upping, so that's it. So we don't need it. So, but that's why I didn't cover that. And we've done test. So with this test plan, test scenario should be, so the next thing should be user stories. We'll be trying to move user stories to Jira. That is user stories, moving it to Jira. So all this grooming, validation is, all of them can be even classified as one activity. Just validation is if you have a senior manager need to review the user story you created before you start entering it in Jira. So that's it. So this is where we are now. So we are progressing. Yeah. And once the BA, you can see all these here are BA activities. And very soon we start both Scrum Master, BA, developers, product owners. So that's it. We are progressing, and yeah. So if you have question, you can ask a question. If you don't have your question, I think this is where we are ending it for this week. So the only thing I owe you is that I have to go upload all the documents to and videos to the course portal, so you can start your work ASAP. Okay. So I hope we are learning. I hope we are capturing our skill set is improving. That's what it should be. And thank you for joining. And